Hi, Dottie here, and this workshop is the key to unlocking energy. And today we are going to delve into one of the probably most important keys to unlock your energy. So if you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever felt burnt out, if you've ever felt exhausted, or you just didn't have enough energy to do all the things you really wanted to in your day, in your life, then this is for you. This is one key. There are others, but this is one of the primary keys. And we'll get into all the details about what it is in a moment. And I just want you to know you're in the right place if you would like more energy, if you would like your energy to be more expansive, if you would like to have the energy to do all the things you love and not just to get through work and be exhausted at the end of the day, or to get through work to feed your family, to do the grocery shopping, do all the things you have to do or you feel you need to do, and then you don't have any energy left for yourself. This is for you. Or let's say you think things are going okay and you know that if you had more energy, that you really could accomplish more in your life, that you could really enjoy life more. You could really expand the things that the feelings that you have around excitement and enthusiasm and thrill and even love, that maybe those have been damped down for a while. So I really want to let you know that this is really about an expansion. This is about the ability to expand. And so let's dive in. And what I want to start out with is what I'm asking you for on this journey. So as you go through this webinar, as you go through this workshop, I really want you to be open to new insights. I mean, that's probably why you're taking it in the first place, is to learn something new. And I really want you to take some time to venture inward as we do this. And you may need to pause the video at times to do some of this. We can often look at circumstances, things outside of ourselves. So maybe the reason that we have no energy is because of our job, or because of the work that we have to do at our house, in our home, or whatever it is. We can look outside. So it's kind of a lens. You think of a camera looks outside of yourself. And what I'm really asking you to do here is to really venture inward. And so what I'd like you to do is to take that perspective of venturing inward. And it's really like the mirror view. So if you think of a camera lens looking outside, and what are the circumstances, what are things outside of ourselves, I'd really like you to be willing to venture inward and kind of take that look in the mirror and look inside and see what, and be open to some things that might be internal, that might be keeping you from having the energy that you want. I'd also like you to hold radical honesty as a goal. There was a program I was involved in at one point, and one of the leaders used to say that the 11th commandment was, "Thou shalt not kid thyself." So really hold radical honesty as your goal, both, especially with yourself. Be radically honest with yourself about the things that we're going to talk about today, and then participate in a way that works for you. I really recommend, as you're going through this, to try and block the time to get through the whole thing, because we're going to go through some things that build on each other, and allow yourself to experience and play with the process a little bit. We're going to do a couple things that are a little fun and a little deep. So just really participate in a way that works for you, and maybe you come back and review the information again and go a little deeper the next time. So those are my asks of you for this journey. Now, what I will do, and my promise to you on this journey through this webinar, is that I'm going to share from my heart. I am going to create space for you to do that inward journey, to do that discovery process, to really discover something new and discover something, to kind of go into that realm of possibility, instead of being resistant or maybe a little closed off. I will also, so I'm going to create, that's my goal, is to create that space for you to do that discovery. I will be radically honest with you and I will be vulnerable in how I share. So I'll be honest in what I've learned and what I know and what has worked with my clients. And I'll provide those insights throughout this webinar of things that have worked for me as well as for my clients. And all of these things I have used and I have worked on for my own self. So, and I'm going to create a little space for some fun. So the first thing that I'd like to do, and first of all, I applaud you for being here. I want you to be, really take this all the way through to the end. There's a lot of juiciness here. There's a lot of opportunity to learn. There's a lot of opportunity to go deep and to create space for more energy and a more expansive energy, a more resonant energy that works for you. Because sometimes we have energy and it's not the kind of energy we want. Maybe our energy is so frenetic and it's not really getting us what we want. Maybe our energy is so, maybe it's just, we have energy, we think we have enough, but it is so monotone, like a monotonal energy that just doesn't, it never goes up, and maybe it doesn't go down much, but it's just, it's been at the same level for so long. And maybe it's kind of like being in this comfort zone, this rut. So a couple things to think about as we move forward. And what I'd like you to do is really take a few moments, and I'm actually going to just pause here. And I want you to jot a few notes down. So I didn't say this at the beginning, but it's good to have a journal or a couple sheets of paper and your favorite writing instrument. I always like to have some colored pens when I'm doing things like this, to have some different ways to write, to make it fun and creative. So my question for you just off the bat is, jot down in a word or a sentence, how are you today? How are you right now? Okay, and I want you to we're going to circle back to this later in the presentation, but I just want you to note that. How are you right now? And then the next thing I'd like you to write down is, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's your energy at right now? 1 is, I am exhausted beyond belief. I can't keep my eyes open. I'm not sure why I'm doing this webinar right now, but it was the only time I had when the kids weren't around or my spouse wasn't around, or I could get some quiet time, but I'm really exhausted. So I can barely keep my eyes open is 1, and 10 is like, hey, I'm ready, raring to go. Let's go on an adventure. So jot that down and just put kind of energy equals and then your number. All right. So where we're going to go in this journey here together is, I'm going to give you kind of the bigger picture of the work that I do and how this fits into the work. So I'm going to just take a moment to do that first. And then we're going to align on a few basics, a few concepts and terminology before we dive in. And then we're going to discover the key. We're actually going to jump in and look at that one key that I was talking about. And then we're going to play a little bit. We're going to play a little game, and then we're going to go a little deeper with what that key is. We're going to revisit the bigger picture, and then we'll wrap things up. So it should be close to 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll see. That's and you'll know when you get this video, how long it is when you first started. So, but that's my guesstimate at this point. That's when we did it with a group. That's about what it took. So, all right. Before we jump in, what I wanted to share with you is how this work fits into the bigger picture. So my work, I've labeled it, and what I work with my coaching clients on in my group coaching program is what I refer to as an energetic blueprint. And this is kind of the tool that I use to help people really discover their unique, their personalized energetic blueprint. And it really fits under the umbrella of the work that I do called embodied energy wisdom. And I started out with just energy wisdom. And it's really important for me to just let you know, it's really about being embodied. And how do we embody that energy wisdom? And so what I want to share with you on this energetic blueprint, it's really like a beautiful garden. And that beautiful garden, it may have weeds in it. It may be overgrown in certain areas. It may not be flourishing in other areas. But this beautifully landscaped, this beautifully architected garden is like our energetic blueprint. And when it's tended to, when we pull the weeds, when we, hoe and we fertilize, it's a beautiful experience. But when we ignore it, when we are lax in taking care of ourselves, that energetic blueprint can become overgrown and can become just maybe not as wonderful to look at and as wonderful to be around and to be in. And maybe we tend to ignore certain parts of it. So what I want to share with you about this is that, we start out in life with this core of ourself, okay? And this core of our being is our preferences, our gifts, our talents. This is what we were born into the world with. And this is what we came into, and we are, this is our core self. Now, the next level is our developed self. And as we grow, things may happen to us. And it may be that we, I'll give my example, a couple examples. Part of my developed self is when I first took, I'll share this with you. When I first took the Myers-Briggs, I tested, took the assessment. It was an ESTJ, which meant extrovert, and everything else. There's a couple other. We could go deeper, but I don't want to do that here. I just want to give you a sense of the bigger picture. The developed self is who we, our negative ego or our subconscious thought patterns and habits that we create that can sometimes cover up that core self. And it's there, those things develop to help keep us safe. They developed to help us make sense of a world that maybe at the time we didn't have an empowered adult who could help us make sense of certain things in the world. And so these things, these developed selves they often end up to be things that we think are really who we are. And we say, well, that's just who I am. And really what my work is to help peel back these layers of the developed self to rediscover who you are at your core. What are the gifts and talents? Not just what are the skills you've developed. I developed skills to be a project manager, but when I was a project manager, I was not my best self. I ended up to be what my husband and I playfully referred to as does not play well with others. I got aggressive. I got overbearing. I was controlling. It was not a good situation. Even though I had the skills to do it, I developed the skill, but the skill wasn't aligned with who I was at my core self, in my core being. And once I started to align to those core skills and talent, or those core gifts and talents, all of a sudden I had more energy. I had more ease. Doing the things that are part of our developed self take a shit ton of energy. And so I won't go into all this in super detail, but then the next part of this is what we refer to as our contextual self. Our contextual self is who we can flex to. And this is the best example that I can give you at this time, is that I had a boss at one of the roles that I had when I was an organizational development manager, and she was a very firm introvert. And the introversion was that she needed to be alone. If you don't really know what that is, and oh, I wanted to kind of go back a little bit here, one slide. And even though she was an introvert, she was a very dynamic, very powerful, very engaged leader. And if we would do an all-day meeting where she needed to be in the room and talking to people all day and leading the group, and she could do that, and she was very good at it. However, at lunch, she needed time alone. We needed, if it was an all-day meeting, if we didn't give her time to go to her car and go get lunch on her own, then, but as the afternoon waned, she would get cranky, she would get more controlling, she would get over assertive, she would get aggressive. There were all these things that would happen, but she knew she could flex. So this contextual self is how we flex. She could flex into, a more outgoing, energized with others kind of situation, but she knew it took a lot of energy, and she needed to take that lunchtime to re-energize for herself, because she knew how much energy it took for her to engage that group at the beginning of the day, and that she knew she needed that time so that at the afternoon, she could still be her best self. So that contextual self is how we flex, and how we can then assess who we, what kind of energy do we need in order to really be that person. So, and it often takes an awful lot of energy, and so that's where, but this contextual self is the flexing on purpose, and the flexing consciously, and the flexing into things that may not be completely aligned to our course or who we are at our core. And we know that we either need to really resource ourselves ahead of time so that we can go into that, really resourced, and we can get through whatever that event is, or that day, or whatever it is that we're doing. And then we can come back or we, at the end, we can either do it at the beginning or the end, or both. Have the time to really re-energize in whatever way makes sense for you, because that contextual flexing takes a lot of energy. All right, so in this energetic blueprint, what we do is we identify what are the layers of the developed self. What are those things that those habits we've formed, those thought patterns, the subconscious thought patterns that are no longer serving you, and start to peel those away so that you can rediscover your core. The next step of our energetic blueprint process is we really start to work on restoration, and we work on practices that really restore the essence of your core, that restore your resonance, that get you back into resonance with who you are at your core, and learn to navigate, because that developed self is probably not going to go away completely. It'll still present itself. It's being able to recognize it and to put some distance between the reaction that would come normally of the developed self, of whether it's like not, the thing that what I talked about is that does not play well with others. As I went through and took a more in-depth approach to Myers-Briggs, I found out I'm actually an INFP. My first several assessments were ESTJ, but I am really an INFP. So by doing that mirror work, by really looking and doing that self-discovery, I realized where some of my preferences were that I wasn't being in complete alignment to. I had such a layer of developed self with the skills I developed in the different roles that I had, that it wasn't even clear to me. I couldn't even see. I had to have support to actually dive in and look at who I was at my core. So we do the assess, we restore that core self, and then we look at ways to sustain. We look at ways to develop practices to be able to flex when you need to, while still sustaining and retaining that alignment to your core, and create that sustainable energetic blueprint. So that's kind of the big picture of the work that I do. All right. My question for you, and I want you to kind of write this down and take a moment, and I'm going to give a little moment of silence here, but what do you feel for you is one of the biggest suppressors of our energy? Take a moment and write that down. What could it be? What I have found in working with my clients and in working with the coaches that I've worked with over the years is that it is the suppression of emotion and the ongoing suppression of emotion. So it's blocking our emotions. Blocking our emotions is one of the, whoops, let's come back here. I accidentally jumped out of that. So blocking our emotions is one of the greatest killers of our energy, because believe it or not, you may think that that's counterintuitive. And because some people may say, well, it takes, I'm always so much more exhausted if I let myself be scared, or if I let myself be sad, that takes a lot of energy. And it's when we're constricting against the emotion, when we're in a constricted kind of state and blocking that emotion and holding it down or stuffing it down or armoring up and pushing it away, that takes so much energy. So if my body and my brain and my heart want to be silly in a situation, I mean, think of a little kid. How hard is it for them to sit still in school? If they really want to be silly, it's hard. It takes a lot of energy. So this is one thing that this is our key. This is the blocking of our emotions is what is just a killer to our energy. It really is damping down and suppressing our energy. And so each one of us has a story or something that we think or say or do about emotions. And oftentimes people look at emotions and they think that, having our emotions means we're weak. That if I was strong enough, I wouldn't need to show my emotions. Or we might say that negative emotions are bad. Now, I'll explain in a little bit. I don't like that term negative emotions, but we'll actually save that for a little bit. But a lot of people think that I should never be angry, or I should not be lonely, or I shouldn't feel hatred. I shouldn't feel revenge. I shouldn't feel blame. All of these different things because they're negative emotions. They are just constrictive emotions. They are neither good nor bad. They are just informative. They inform us of where we need to look in our lives. Another story you might have about emotions is that they are dangerous. That if I feel my emotions fully, that I will hurt myself or someone else. And in those situations, oftentimes it's because where we've seen people get hurt or ourselves get hurt because of emotions, it's because we've stuffed them down for so long. And it's like we've put all these rocks in front of a flowing river, and now all of a sudden it just explodes because there's been so much pressure built up because we've stuffed and stuffed and stuffed and stuffed and stuffed, and something is going to cause, some spark is going to cause an explosion. So the next one is that and these are really lies. These are essentially lies that we tell ourselves. And again, sometimes we think it's because to keep us safe, we create this story about these emotions. Oftentimes some people might think that emotions can't be trusted, that, what I'm feeling isn't real, or it's not true, or, and it's a combination of a thought and a feeling. And that's, and it's information. It's helping us to see places where we might need to, fix a break in a relationship, or fix a break in the relationship with ourselves. Another story is I might get lost in my emotions. And oftentimes, again, this happens when we ignore or stuff down or push away emotions for so long that then we we can't control them, that they're flowing so hard and so fast. And really, when we feel our emotions for the time that they're normal, a normal emotion can actually pass through you very quickly in 6 seconds. There's actually an organization named 6 seconds based on this. Another lie or another story about it is that emotions must be controlled, that I can't, we can't allow ourselves to really feel them. We have to be in full control all the time, which is just a crock. It's just not true. We have to allow our emotions so that we can have a bigger experience of life, so that we can have the energy to be in relationship, to be in love, to be in fun, to be in the energy and the resonance of contentment and well-being and hope and trust. Those are all things that it's part of the human experience. Another lie or another story about emotions, that expressing intense emotions is dysfunctional. That because we grew up with maybe so much anger in our household and we call that a dysfunctional household, that then we say that expressing anger is dysfunctional. And maybe it was a dysfunctional situation because of how often it happened, or the way the anger was expressed, or it was anger that was expressed at someone instead of allowing the anger to go through. I mean, anger is generally, most often, a boundary being crossed. And so being able to feel that anger and maybe even express it, but not always share it. You don't always have to share it. You can get it to move through your body so that you can then have the conversation on what boundary was crossed, what was actually going on. The next story might be that feeling emotion is unproductive, that doesn't do anything. And that, again, is not true, because most people just haven't had an empowered situation, an empowered coach or an empowered parent or an empowered adult who can help them understand how to feel those emotions and let them actually work for you, let them inform you, let them guide you. Emotions are our GPS. They help us see, where is it that I need to learn something? Where is it that I need to grow? Where is it that I might be out of alignment with who I am at my core? Where is it that I am out of integrity with my word, with my values, with a relationship? Where am I out of integrity? It is very productive to actually feel all of your emotions. Another one is feeling doesn't change anything. And feeling is actually a process of change. So it's actually allowing yourself to feel is allowing yourself to grow and change. Feeling, again, guides us in our relationship. It guides us in relationships to others. It guides us in relationships to ourselves. Or maybe there's something else. So I'm just going to give you a few moments here to just look at these and just read them again, each one by one. And which one is the strongest for you? Which one maybe, which story, which one of these is something that you may have heard growing up? Or is there something else? Maybe there's another story that you have about emotions. I know for me, for a long time, I had, my story was I had to have them in private. And, in some ways, it's a little bit of each of these. There's probably a couple of different ones that this relates to, but that's another one that I've seen quite a bit, both for myself and others, is that I can only have my emotions in private, that I can't share them or show them to anyone. And that's just robbing others of being supportive, of being, of loving us, of caring for us, of understanding us, of being in relationship with us, is to see who we really are, to see what's hurt us, to see where we're joyful, to see where we're, we probably don't feel like we can't show joy or show happiness, and yet we don't want to show anger, and we don't want to show loneliness or despair. And when we block one emotion, we block all emotion. There isn't just blocking one. When we damp down and say, I'm not going to show my anger, I'm not going to actually feel anger, then it doesn't allow us to feel the more expansive emotions like hope and trust and love and freedom and well-being and contentment and satisfaction. And that's why, we've got this pandemic of people unsatisfied at work and dissatisfied with their life and dissatisfied with their partner. There is so much dissatisfaction because we don't allow ourselves to feel loneliness and blame and jealousy and envy. How can we feel satisfaction? How can we even know what that feels like? Because we're damping down so many of our emotions. So our emotions, again, are an experience of an integration of thought and feeling. So our thoughts, what we think, and then what that feeling is, what's coming up in how I feel in my body, that integration is an emotion. And what we're trying to get to is a state of emotional fluency. So we've got this fluidness, and I almost want to create a new word, and I might do it because to me it's what part of it is being fluent, which means, like when I'm fluent in Spanish, I can speak and understand the language. So I want people to be able to, my goal is to help people to be able to feel whatever authentic, honest, and emotions, and eager to learn from it, and allow that your own authenticity to guide you. And I want you to see it as a fluid, that you're able to allow it fluidly to go through you. So maybe we'll coin the term emotional fluidency or something. I don't know. Hopefully I'll figure it out. But it's a part of it is getting more fluent in the language of emotions, which, a lot of people have a very narrow, and we're going to talk about this in just a second, but we have a very narrow number of emotions that we're willing to feel. And we're in a rut. We're in an emotional comfort zone because we only allow ourselves to feel certain things. So it's expanding your language, expanding your understanding, expanding your comprehension around those emotions and what they are and how powerful they can be as a source of energy in your life. And then also understanding how you can let them flow through your life and flow through your being and flow through your experience. Then they don't become overwhelming. They don't become this potential to ruin relationships, or the potential to overwhelm you or control you or anything like that. All those lies on the previous page just melt away when we can become fluent and fluid with our emotions. So this tool here, and I'm hoping that you can see this. I'm going to kind of move this just in case. This is from Concept Synergy, and I got this during a course I was in, and a coaching course, and it's the tiers of emotion. And the way we read this is from the bottom right over here at hopelessness. These are the lowest resonant frequency emotions. And so I don't refer to them as negative emotions. There isn't a negative and positive emotion. They're all energy in motion. They are all, an ocean fluid, a fluid ocean. I heard somebody say they saw the word emotion being EMOCEAN. So like the ocean, it's emotion, it's energy flowing just like the ocean. So it's has its peaks and valleys. There's times that the ocean is very I want to use the word rambunctious, and that's not really the word for an ocean, but it's it's very choppy, and the tides are the waves are high, and it feels scary maybe. And then there's times where it's the same as like a lake that's just a sheet of glass, that's just peaceful and serene. And so we read this tiers of emotions from the bottom right here at hopelessness and despair being the lowest energy, lowest resonant emotion, and coming through each one by one has a little bit higher resonance. And we come over to fear, anxiety, and angst. Then we come back again to the right and we move over to the left. And each one of these is gaining in more expansiveness, more resonance, more energy. And again, from boredom, I really like this idea here. I've found myself in boredom with the role that I'm working in, and it is just on the cusp of well-being, contentment, and satisfaction. And oftentimes when you're in one emotion and you might feel stuck in guilt and sadness, maybe there's a way to just move one step, and then again move one step, and then again move one step. How can we change that guilt and sadness to pity and crisis and pity and overwhelm? And how can we move pity and overwhelm and see the worry and doubt behind it? And how can we take worry and doubt and feel the frustration and potentially confusion around it? And can we move from frustration and confusion into maybe impatience? Maybe there's an impatience with, a situation we're in. And then we can see what is the resonance that we need to do to up level ourselves in expansion and become into these expansive emotions, which again, we read right to left. And again, the highest resonant, the highest energy is love, individuality, joy, authority, and freedom. And I want to reinforce here, oftentimes we won't allow ourselves to feel some of these emotions, maybe worthlessness or feeling hollow, or maybe we won't allow ourselves to feel hatred because we've been told never, that you shouldn't hate someone. You just dislike what they did. And, and maybe it isn't that you hate a person, but maybe there's hatred for a situation or hatred for, a way that things are. But again, our emotions are just a GPS. They're here to guide us. They are here to open the door to an experience that will allow us to have a bigger experience of life. So when we allow ourselves to feel, we allow ourselves to have a bigger experience of life. So if I damp down my feelings of loneliness, then I'm going to not be able to the degree that I don't let myself feel lonely, then that's going to be the degree that I don't let myself feel excitement or enthusiasm or eagerness. If I don't allow myself to ever feel jealousy, and what I want to make sure you understand is that it isn't about staying in the emotion. Okay, it's not about staying in that that place of stuck in that emotion. It's allowing yourself to feel it. And we're gonna go through this a little bit. Allow yourself to feel it. And where is it in your body? And what is it there to tell you? What is it that you're not paying attention to in your life that needs attention, that might need some conversation, that might need some healing, that might need to shift in order for you to realize a new experience in life, a new job, finish a new project, whatever it might be. All right, so we're gonna actually play a little game. We're gonna play some chutes and ladders. And what I'd like you to do is I would like you, so if you've never played this game, it's a game where you spin the dial and you move, and let's say you dial a 4. So you start here at 1 and you do 1, 1, 2, or you start off the board, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, this ladder lets you come all the way to 14. So you skip all the way from 4 to 14. But if I roll a 2 the next time, 15, 16, then I come back down here to 6. And then I roll a 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then, whatever it is, then I roll a 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, I go all the way from 13 to 84. And so we're going to use this idea of chutes and ladders with our emotions. So what I'd like you to do is think of a situation in your life. And I'm going to kind of go slow with this in the video so that you can take your time with it. But if the time I give you isn't enough, please feel free to pause the video. So I want you to think of a situation in your life. Maybe it's, a frustrating situation that you've got with your, a situation that's going on at work that doesn't feel right and isn't energizing, and it's it's something that you might be getting angry about or frustrated about or whatever it is. Think of a situation in your life. It might be at home, it might be in a friendship situation, whatever it is. So I want you to think of that one situation. And what I'd like you to do, and I'm going to ask you to write this down on your paper, is where, with that situation, what's the first emotion that comes to mind? Take a look at this, at the tiers of emotion, and what is the first emotion that you would say is related to that situation? And I'm going to take the situation of something that I had going on for a while, was a situation where at work, with one of my clients. I say at work, and it's with one of my clients, and it was a situation where I won't go into details about what it was, but it was a frustrating. The first thing that comes to mind right now is frustration. That's the first emotion I can think of. I was frustrated. I was really frustrated. And so just kind of allow yourself to feel that. So whatever that first emotion is, I want you to feel it. Where does that feeling reside in your body? And I want you to breathe into that space in your body. So for me, I feel so much of things in my chest. And a lot of times my posture reflects that. I tend to slouch because I feel this constriction in my chest. And so I'm just breathing into that area for a bit. And now see if there's any other feeling, any other emotion related to that situation. And for me, there's worry, because in this situation, there's something that, I think, I needed to have done to serve the client, to serve the end client enough. And I worry that we're not going to get it done. So I'm going to feel that worry for a moment. So we're kind of just navigating around. I'm going to feel the worry. And then that worry I can feel in my throat. That's where I kind of feel it. So I'm going to breathe into that worry for a moment. And doubt, like there's doubt there too, because I doubt that they're going to do the right thing. I doubt that they're, the people who said they're going to take care of it are going to actually take care of it, because I've experienced over and over and over that these people who said they would take care of it, they haven't followed through in the past. So I have an experience of that. So I'm worryful and doubtful. So I'm just going to breathe into that throat area for a moment. And then we'll take it one more step. And I've gotten anger. I've had some anger on this situation. Blame. I've had blame, like, you know what? It's their fault. They did not do this, and they did not do that, and they didn't do this. So I can feel blame for this as well. And that blame is actually coming back down in the very lower part of my chest, like almost close to my diaphragm. I can feel that blame, the pointing of fingers. And so this is a tool that you can use. This is an actual practice that you can use. With this video, there will also be a handout, so you'll be able to print this page separately as an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and you'll have this to practice this. So take any situation and just let yourself feel where that goes, where the energy goes, and where the emotions, which emotions want to be felt. And you may need 10, 15, 20 minutes if it's a pretty charged situation. And you can do this with situations that you may feel are constricting your energy. And also play with it with situations that are hopeful and on the more expansive realm. So maybe you have an upcoming vacation and you have a ton of enthusiasm. You have a ton of excitement about that vacation, and let yourself really feel it and feel where is it in your body and feel into it and let that feeling expand and let the breath just breathe into it and see if it goes anywhere else. Maybe you move into feeling hope that you have all of this hope for this vacation. And what I'd like you to do as you practice this a few times over the next couple of weeks, before you start the practice, gauge your level of energy. So we did that at the very beginning of this session. Then at the end of the practice, see where your energy is. See if there's more expansiveness. You might feel, maybe you allowed yourself to feel everything and you're a little more tired, but you feel a little more open. You feel a little more free. And that's a great thing, because now we've created space for more energy to come through. When we block all those emotions, we have no space for the energy of our life. I talked a little bit about this already, and I just want to reinforce that each one of us has an emotional comfort zone. So many of us will only allow ourselves to feel certain things. So it's what your emotional comfort zone can happen one of two ways. So it's either that I only allow myself these couple emotions. So maybe we only let ourselves feel sad and worry and frustrated and bored. These are all transitional, and they can either transition us up or they can transition us further down into fear and anxiety and betrayal and hurt and abandonment. So really just, look at and assess where is your emotional comfort zone. So the first thing is, which emotions do you allow yourself to feel? And the second is, to what extent do you allow yourself to feel them? Do you allow yourself to have a big experience of excitement or a big experience of happiness? I know that there's certain people who will say, oh my God, that person is just way too happy. And like, it's a bad thing. Why can't someone be, if someone's told long enough, you're too happy, tone it down, then they're going to tone that down. But then love gets toned down, and hope gets toned down, and excitement gets toned down. When we tone down or damp down any emotion, we damp down all of them. And so we end up in an emotional comfort zone, either because of the level to which we're allowing ourselves to feel an emotion, or how we block certain emotions. Now, Brene Brown has a term or a phrase that she says about emotions. My emotional armor might, what's your emotional armor? Brene Brown refers to it as she'll armor up and roll out. Like, if there's a situation that is maybe a bit scary or a bit uncomfortable, we put up the armor. And what does your armor look like? Where do you, how do you armor up? And what does that mean for you when you armor up? How do you armor up? Do you armor up by walking away? Some people armor up by shutting down. Do you armor up by walking away? So maybe you shut down, or maybe you shut down. Maybe your arms get crossed, you lean back, you cross your legs. Maybe you just close off. Maybe you stop talking in a meeting. Maybe that's how you armor up. Armoring up could look like getting bigger in the situation. So maybe you get aggressive, maybe you get loud, maybe you get more assertive in a bad way. And I don't want you to think that assertiveness is a bad thing, but maybe you get aggressive. Maybe you make jokes that really are personal hits on people versus jokes that might be funny that everybody might appreciate. Maybe you get angry. Maybe it's just you armor up by just getting pissed off and saying mean things to people. This is where my husband and I talked about does not play well with others. My go-to when I armor up is one of my go-tos when I armor up is resentment. I just get pissed off at people about, you know, things that I think they should have done or whatever it is. So, and take a moment. I want you to take a moment right now and just jot down, what does armoring up mean to you and how do you armor up? If you need more time, feel free to pause the video and just take some notes on what does armoring up look like for you? Because the whole process to having more energy is to recognize where we armor up, where we shut down, where we close off, where we become, you know, this bigger part of ourselves that isn't the nice part of our, you know, and I don't want to say that you should always be nice. It isn't necessarily about being nice, but where do we become the person we don't want to be? We become the person who is mean. We become the person who is just angry to be angry. We become so much more than that. Developed part of ourself all of a sudden is bigger than our core self. Okay. So there is magic, and I do mean magic. And there is magic in allowing our emotions. So we're going to go a little bit deeper and practice a couple of these. So I'm going to pick a couple of emotions and we're going to feel them separately, each one of them, for 1 minute. And if you'd like, you can keep your eyes open when you do this, but you could close your eyes. Sometimes if you're going to keep your eyes open, maybe just kind of gently focus on something in the room. Maybe it's a picture on the wall or something neutral, so, you know, a blanket on the couch or whatever it might be. And the first one that we're going to feel is anger. Okay. And you might have, I want you to feel it. I want you to breathe. And I'm going to tell you when the minute starts in a moment. But if you need to let it have sound and voice, please do. And I'll give you an example. I'm gonna for about 20-30 seconds, I'm gonna feel anger and give you a demonstration. So just note, if you want to turn your volume down a little bit, there might be, I'm gonna try not to get too loud. I'll try to make anger less loud than it might be when I get angry all by myself. And if you have to think of a situation that in the past where you had been angry, feel free to use that. And as the feeling comes up, try to drop the story about it, because you don't want to get caught up in the story and you don't want to really let that story continue and you get all caught up in what that story is all about. You just want to feel the emotion. And so I'm just going to feel it for a moment. And if you want to do it along with me, I'm just going to feel the anger. And you might see my face get different. I'm going to close my eyes because it's just more comfortable for me to do that. whatever way your body might need to move. You know, you could see I was shaking my head. I was moving my hands. For me, it is a very constricting. I mean, it is on the edge. If we look, anger is just on the edge of fear and anxiety and hurt. It's just on the edge of these constricting emotions. And that's, you know, for me, it was this, my fists clenched, my body closing in. So I'm going to just pause and let you feel that anger for about a minute. Notice where you feel it in your body and breathe into it. Just feel the anger. If you need to make sounds, make sounds. If you need to get up and move, get up and move. If you need to flail your arms, flail your arms. Okay, now I want you to release that. Take a few long, slow, deep breaths. And if you had your eyes closed, open them and just kind of orient yourself around the room. Notice a few things. I've got a box on my desk, a lamp, some pictures. And breathe in and out slowly through your nose. Okay, we're going to do one more and then we'll wrap things up here. I want you to feel thrill, okay? And, you know, again, if you need a story, maybe your first roller coaster or the first, you know, going into college the first day, or graduating from college and going into, you know, your dream job or whatever it is. If you need a story, again, feel it, but then try to drop the story. And so we're going to do it right now for a minute, and I'm going to feel it right alongside you. I'm going to do the same thing. So oh. Okay, again, if you had your eyes closed, orient yourself around the room, and let's take a few deep breaths. Okay, and I'd like to take some time and jot down in your notebook or in your journal or on a piece of paper these answers to these questions. What did you notice? What did you notice about anger? What did you notice about thrill? Was one of them harder for you than the other? Were they both equally hard? Were they both equally easy? How did you feel? Did you feel awkward? I know sometimes I feel really awkward, and I've always felt awkward doing it with my coach when I've done these activities. And it's still, thrill. The first time I did this, when I was preparing this presentation, thrill was really hard for me. It was hard for me to access initially, and that informed me. It's like, maybe I'm damping down a few of my emotions, and where have I not allowed myself to feel thrill and excitement and enthusiasm? And was there anything that surprised or didn't surprise you? So if you need more time, I'm going to give you a minute here, but if you need more time, please do pause the video, and then, you can always come back to it. So I'm just going to give you a minute here. Okay, please pause the video if if you need more time. Please take the time, because it is in this reflection. It is in being aware of our experience and looking at where when we're looking at feeling, when we're going into feeling certain emotions, being aware of where our resistance is, being aware of what comes easy and what comes hard, informs us of how we can expand our energy and have access to more of our energetic blueprint. Because when we damp down our emotions, when we get into an emotional comfort zone, we do not have access to our full energetic blueprint. And that's why we don't have energy. We're not allowing ourselves to feel everything. And so we're constricting in so hard and so strong and just clamping down, that we don't have space to allow energy to come in and through our body and our mind and our spirit. So I want to just note, I just love this little book written by, the authors are here. I can't pronounce the Srikanth Kumar Chakra Srikanth and Sashi Srikanth. It's just all emotions matter. Every single emotion matters. And so really see if you can build the habit. What can you do to build the habit of allowing and observing? And so this activity of reflection is so critical, because it helps us to create that awareness. It helps us to create that observance. Okay. And so now, thinking back to the beginning of the webinar, how are you really? Oftentimes we use the word, I'm okay. Well, what does that really mean? Am I proud? Am I feeling accomplished? Am I angry? Am I feeling insecure? Am I on the edge? Am I feeling grief? I know I've had a lot of that coming up lately. Am I tired? I don't like, stressed is on here, and I don't like using that, because to me, that is such an umbrella emotion. There are so many more emotions underneath that. Stress might be that I'm anxious, or I'm angry, or I'm worried, or whatever it is. There's so many other emotions to use than stress. So I'm going to encourage you not to use stress. And if you found this helpful, there are a couple of options to go deeper. So I do have a 3-part series of an energy assessment. If you haven't done this already, this is a great place to start. It takes you through 3 different short videos. And when I say short, each one of them is less than 10 minutes. And but the activities take a little bit more time. This energy assessment can really open your eyes to where things that you're doing on a day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year basis are habits or activities that you could divest, you could delegate to be able to create more energy and space in your life. Group or one-on-one coaching. I do offer coaching. So if you'd like to click on this link in the that link will be with this video posted as well, where this video is posted. So feel free to schedule a one-on-one call and we can chat about whether, you know, if you need more energy, if you want more energy in your life, how can, you know, I can help you create it. This activity is just one of many that I do with my clients to get them to a place of really having the expansiveness in their life, to have the energy, what I always refer to as that juiciness of life, to be able to whatever it is that you dream, that you desire, that you want as part of your life, that it's not happening right now. I also offer a free new moon gathering. And that new moon gathering is on the 28th of June. And if you email us, if you're viewing this after the 28th of June, which you very well may be, it's on the new moon every month. And in my Instagram at In Plain Sight Inc., I always have a link in my bio to register for the next new moon gathering. And this is a place to drop in and just be with like-minded individuals who are trying to manifest things in their lives. And so our energetic blueprint can be empowered and elevated by being in community. And this community of these new moon gatherings is where we set intentions for the next month. You know, what are the things that we want to accomplish and what can we get done realistically, and how can we support each other through the process? What are those manifestations that we're trying to bring into the world? Because being in community to do this creates so much more support, creates accountability, creates an energy that will help you to create the things in your life that you're trying to create. And then I also have a group program called Energy Wisdom Reveal Your Rhythm, Create Flow. And if you are harboring resentments, if you are plagued with exhaustion, if you're finding that your regular exercise isn't energizing you, if it's actually, you know, you feel worse, you don't feel the energetic boost of your exercise anymore, please feel free to reach out. We have 6 group coaching sessions, 2 one-on-ones, and then a half-day virtual retreat that are part of the group program. So feel free to reach out. I do different groups throughout the year. So depending on where we are in starting a group when you watch this video, but feel free to reach out to me either one-on-one, Dottie@inplainsightinc.com, or on LinkedIn, or on Instagram, or on my Facebook page. Thanks for watching, and please reach out to me with what you found in the experience with watching this video and doing the exercises, and you know, some of the things that you found in the activities, because I'd love to hear it. And if there's other things that you'd like to hear more of, please reach out too. If you'd like deeper on a particular topic, or you'd like another webinar on another topic, please do let me know. Thanks. I look forward to hearing from you.